Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Well, good evening, Bears, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio. Tonight you've been joined by myself, GB, and the youngest of the panellists is young Robert. Young Robert's joining us tonight. Good evening, Robert. How are we doing, mate?
Evening, mate. I'm doing very well. Yourself?
Yes, mate. I'm actually on my travels, mate. I'm out in the Outer Hebrides. I'm sitting in Barra just now, so I'm coming from you live from an island, mate. So good evening to all Bears over the Hebrides and the Outer Islands. I hope you are all well, and good evening to you, mate, back on mainland. So I take it all as well, mate, back in homeland.
You know, mate, November in it, so can't be any worse than what you've got up there, I suppose. No offence to the Barra people.
So true. I think we are going to be joined by our Jim at some point as well. I think he's on his travels as well. So, Bears, you know the deal. It's Rangers Radio. It's a phone-in show, so it'd be good to hear from you. Plenty of talking points, Robert, for the weekend as well, mate. Rumble's on. And a fantastic show that you had on the weekend, mate. I was listening in while I was watching the game as well, mate. Good coverage for yourselves. You all bear an AK and all the rest of it. So, mate, fair play. I know it's always hard coming on after a defeat, but as you were kind of hosting it, mate, now that everything's settled down, your kind of thoughts in the aftermath, mate, what's been said about the statements, say the red card instance and statements for the club, mate. Let's start with the kind of red card instance first, and then we'll discuss the fan statement and the club statement, mate, and get your kind of points of view on that. So give me your overall rating factors. Has it again been kind of brushed under the carpet, mate, or do you think what I say is we're actually starting to make a bit of a spotlight onto these incompetent, that's what I'll call them, mate, to be fair. But I would probably call them another word, probably an old bear word I would probably use, mate. But I'll call them incompetent tonight for the purpose of our show.
Obviously, overall, mate, still disappointed. Obviously, it's all bear said that we got to a semi-final that we had a hope and a chance of winning to get into a final that arguably would have been a favourable tie for us to go and win silverware to start off Danny Rowe's kind of managerial career at Rangers. So disappointed, mate, that we're obviously out the competition, but I couldn't kind of fault the effort, the endeavour the players put in, particularly the period of time that they spent with 10 men. Obviously, it's a hard job, 11v11 or 11v12. Obviously, come on to the referees in a minute, but going down to 10 men obviously does impact the game. There's more space created as the game goes on, which I think that obviously you see that when McGregor scores, the space he's got to get his goal. But disappointing, mate, but you can see the improvements the team's made under Danny Rule in the space of a couple of weeks. The intensity, second half particular. First half wasn't great at all, mate. We thought we sat off them. We looked very nervous. We weren't comfortable. Just didn't look like we were in a flow, despite making a great number of chances. But overall, mate, still disappointed. Red cards, obviously the big talking point. No complaints for the Asgard one. I know there's no intent anymore, but current modern day football, it's not going to get an escaping. So no complaints for that. The Trusty one, 100% it's a red card all day, mate. You can listen to pundits of excuses and talk about force. Force shouldn't have come into it, mate. There's an intent there to injure a player. Now the message is it endangering an opponent? My opinion, yes, it is. A kick to the head is no different to a head knock in a game. Do you know what I mean? So anything around the face and head area should be a high risk concern for an injury. Disappointed that the referee bottled it to issue the yellow, but more disappointed that VAR didn't look at it thoroughly enough. I know that'll probably come out in the coming days when Willie Collum does his wee show that he does. And he'll try and justify a reason that it's a yellow, or he'll come out and say they got it wrong. But where does that leave us, GB? It's another refereeing error. Obviously, we've had the statements come out from obviously the fan advisory board and then the club. The statements are an indication of the intent that we go and address this issue, but it's going to just continue and continue and continue until something's done. But we can't do it alone as a football club. Scottish football needs to kind of unite together against the officials, because we are not going to move the power that's above us. Your Columns, your Doncasters, they're the ones that are sitting pretty where they are. But it's not the first time we've made statements and nothing's been done. You go back to the Hibs game, Bomber Brown called it out, rightly so. You go back to the Premier Sports Cup final, Cherny incident, there's a statement issued after that. But what more can we do, mate, would be the question I ask. I know there'll be people out there that have opinions like yourself. Maybe the club can do more. But how far can we go, really, to try and move the powers that be to get something done? Because it just rumbles on, mate, and it's going to be that way until there is change. But as I said, us as a club can't do that single-handedly. Scottish football's against us, we know that. Media's against us, we know that. So we're on it, again, on our own. But we do need some support to voice it, because you do hear interviews from other managers of other clubs, issues about refereeing, VAR. You hear Stevie Robinson at St Mirren, Martindale at Livingston. It's a topic that's always going to rumble on, mate, until something's done. But what is going to be done? What can be done? That's my kind of fear. Where do we go to get something done?
No, I get it, mate. We've got a couple. You've actually raised a couple of good points in amongst that, mate. With the uniting with the league and our manager on that first half performance. So remind me to come back to our manager on the first half performance, because I kind of want to get both yours and Jim's opinion on the manager's learnings, hopefully for that. But sticking with the refs and stuff like that, and the uniting the against, not so much the SFA, but against these stupid decisions. I think we have been joined with Jim. Jim, mate, you were at the game. Another kind of symbolic officiating going on, mate, and like all the excuses are getting pulled out of the bag, mate, for especially Trustees one. Trustees, it was, I mean, Michael Stewart is on saying that because there wasn't a burst out in heat, then it was allowed to just be a yellow card. Unbelievable.
Anyway, I watched that. I think it's a podcast thing with him, Neil Lennon, the guy, the boy Darryl, and Alan Hunt. I watched it today. I seen the link on follow for it. I've never seen anything like that in my life, by the way. How that guy tries to justify that trustee challenge. Even I showed you how bad it is with Neil Lennon. Neil Lennon is actually just shaking his head in disbelief. By the way, I'll tell you what, he trolled us even more at the game when he chose Trustee for man of the match. That says it all to me. And I'm listening there saying that to me day. I don't think the club can do any more than they're doing just now. I think this is now down to the fans. Put your mind back. What group of fans caused all this and got their way with Celtic? And I really do think it's down to the fans now to make it as uncomfortable as possible for these officials.
I agree, mate. I think club-wise, I can't. And I'll get your opinion on this, right? So Patrick Stewart, he's obviously under fire, right? Where I think he can be doing more, is Robert's highlighted it, is the likes of Martindale, the likes of McInnes. McInnes has all spoke about it as well, the officiating when he was at Kilmarnock and all that. Even the boy at Kilmarnock, now I can't remember his name. He's been done there with when he was at Ross County and stuff like that. There's been things with Aberdeen. There's been things with Hibs. And then there's ourselves. And I think what I say is for the club today, Mayor, I think like say Patrick Stewart should be communicating with like say Martindale, St Mirren, McInnes and all the rest of it, and logging these disputes, mate. Like, so when there is an incident with them, we should be coming out and backing it with them, and vice versa. When there's a game like that at the weekend, Hearts should be coming out and saying, like, we're concerned about the state of officiating, especially when it's been highlighted at the weekend of an inconsistency again, just to put a bit of pressure on it, mate. And see, to be honest, like I say, it will be swings and roundabouts in the league, but it just seems to be more onus on the other teams in our league rather than a certain team across the city, mate. And I think AK at the weekend gave a start out about how there's no been any red cards for them in so many games. Robert, it's mental, mate. I just think that's where us as a club could be doing more. Fans, we'll have our probably day at maybe protesting and stuff like that, but it'll only go so far. I think you need the league fans to be doing something about it. Robert, mate?
Aye, listen, if you cast your mind back, GB, to our previous board, when we had statements issued several times over a season about the standards of officiating in Scotland, it was the same kind of message we were putting out. And I believe we actually did try and get some of the teams on board to say, look, these are affecting not just us, but yourselves as well. In particular, the kind of smaller teams, mate, because these decisions can ultimately cost somebody a position in this top flight, which is a financial implication to the lesser teams in terms of what players they can bring in, the financial sustainability. Players' lives are affected by it if they have to drop down to a championship level, wages, etc. There's a big, massive picture here, mate, and it can affect a lot of teams, not just us. It might be all right because we're at the top end of the kind of table when you look at it at the end of the season, but these smaller teams, they seem to have the opinion, and they're probably right. They're the small voice in this big Scottish league. Nobody wants to hear a disgruntled David Martindale about a VAR decision. But when it's Rangers and Celtic voicing an opinion, more so is because they don't really address their issues in public. Nobody takes notice of that either. It just gets blindsided, and that comes from the hires above us, i.e., the SFA, the referees. So we probably can do more, but what exactly is that more? I get Jim's point about the fans doing more, but I'll be honest, Jim, I think a lot of our fans are more concerned about our club, our board, i.e. Patrick Stewart Felwell, than the referees. Does it take going to Hampden to protest? Does it become a vendetta against these referees? We know how toxic it can be. We've seen what it was like with Russell Martin. Do you want that plastered over the paper? Because they're not going to change it because our fans are voicing opinions. But what you know what's going to happen is if we start doing these kind of protests, it's going to be these Rangers thugs. That's the way we put on media, mate. You know what? They'll say thugs are doing this, and that takes away the actual point of why we're doing it or the reason we'd be doing it for. So again, I don't know what else we can do. I agree with Jim. I think as a club, a statement's all we can do at the minute. But the other clubs need to do it. Aye. But as I said, they're small voices in a big league that people are content and comfortable with the position they're in.
I don't think anybody else is interested. I really don't. This is a one-man, one-team crusade here because nobody in Scottish football is going to open their mouth. We've heard them every week we play them. You're no Rangers anymore. Walking away the Rangers way. Do you honestly think are they going to back us up? Aye. No chance. Absolute no chance.
Jim, do you think then, just the way we are now, and we've got a new manager and stuff like that, and I think as fans we're all hopeful for Danny Rowell to turn things around and quickly, hopefully. But from the stance we're sitting now, it's got to be an uphill struggle. So in that case, mate, do you think it would be a benefit for the likes of Hearts to win the league, and then, just for talking sakes, it comes down to the last day of the season, and it's a Hearts Celtic decision that swayed in Celtic's favour, a controversial one like, say, the weekend. It's then up to Hearts to drive that, isn't it? So it could be a benefit, mate, that they win the league and it changes the landscape a bit.
Well, possibly. Well, see, something that came through my head at the weekend there, we're talking about McCanny doing as a club. See that situation at the weekend there where he get booted in the heat? But he did get kicked in the heat. It did not just go like that here. Everybody off here. Off the park here. That's what it's probably going to take here. Because that at the weekend there was an absolute disgrace. And I hope the club come out and say what their explanation was, because they justified doing what they done. Absolute shocking. Take a team off the park. That's what it's going to need to take. Because nobody else in Scottish football is going to back us. No chance.
Good point, mate. And by the way, you highlight something. Maybe they'll not so much walking off the park, but Robert, the Jack Butland incident, the Diamande one where he gets kicked in the chest. I can't really say about the handball because we obviously got the penalty through that, but we should be still challenging for we should be having horns up challenging for the red card to get pulled out. But the Jack Butland and the Diamande, just to go back to that, Robert, our players should be collapsing like a ton of bricks. They should be doing about 10 rolls. They should be screaming as if they've been shot, because we need to make merry. Because see Jack Butland, see if we're talking, see if it was just a wee skiff in the head, Jack Butland's got to grab his head and roll back into his goal and all the rest of it, and as if he's in agony. Because then when they do actually go back to it on VAR, I mean, there's nothing, they can't hide for it, mate. Like it says, it's a hangman. And then you're looking at, then everybody's going like, oh, that was violent conduct. Whereas because Butland didn't really overly react to it, and that gave that Nick Walsh the excuse, oh, it was just a tap. It wasn't forceful. You know what I mean? Which is laughable considering what happened to Diamande in Dundee United when Diamande was getting pushed back and his horn was up, and it was basically just a wee touch of the cheek that he done, and he got sent off for that. And this is where the inconsistency comes in. This is where, like I says, how many times is Willie Collum gone to keep coming out and apologising for officiating, for people not officiating properly. So again, I'm jumping on a couple of points there, mate. Robert, first one, our players need to do more. They need to over-exaggerate. There's no sentiment for gentlemen, unfortunately, in our league anymore, mate. We've got to over-exaggerate things. I think we've got to do a bit more of the dark arts. And then, like I say, you've got Colin there. How many times can our league allow him to keep coming out and apologising for mental officiating?
We're too soft, GB. As simple as that, mate. We're too soft.
Do you think we're going to get apologised for that game of the weekend there? Absolutely no chance.
I think they'll come out and say they've made errors, Jim. I think they'll come out and say that they've made an error. They'll try and justify why Ralston never got a second yellow card for the handball, because they'll say that law changed so many years ago. But the ball's goal bound. It's denying a goal scoring opportunity. That's a law in itself is a bookable offence. So whether you're on a yellow card or not, you should be getting a second one. You should have been off before that, because umpteen fouls and blocks and Gassama he done. He should be off the park. Maeda's another one. I tallied up 8 fouls he done. And that's not mentioning the one where he's ran 10 yards to push Asgard over at that red card incident that he got sent off for. So you've got a guy there placing his hands around Asgard's throat, pushing him to the floor. Is that not violent conduct? Because going by the rule book it is, but you get nothing, not even a yellow card for that. So the simple thing is, GB, we're far too soft, mate. We're too soft. I said it on the show on Sunday. You go and watch that again. You see Raskin going to the referee, then some other players come over. But Tav, being captain, ushers them away.
Tav pushed
has
them
a
all away.
word.
Tav pushed every one of them away.
Exactly, Jim. He pushes them away and has a word,
Yep.
right? You compare that to the Asgard incident. Every single one of them have got their arms up, screaming at the referee and crowding round him, waiting him to force a decision. Their reaction has got him that red card. Now, I'm not saying it's not a red card, because I did say no complaints with it. But, Jim, you'll know, you get taught at grassroots football, scream and shout for every decision, put the ref under pressure. We don't do it. And if we do, our captain's brushing people away to have a quiet word. It's not good enough for two
Push
shots.
away, one. No, 100%, mate.
Aye, we should be screaming for the physio to come on as well, like you says, Robert. Our players should be running about. Some of them should be running about Butland, making sure he's all right, and then the next minute should be waving on, screaming for the physio to run on and put the sponge on his head and all that carry on. That says, mate, it's the dark arts. They do it. They do it plenty, mate. And we've had stupid decisions. I mean, that one with Dessers, remember in Old Firm, where he stole the ball off the guy and the guy fell like a ton of bricks and it was getting back. The goal was disallowed for a foul. That was an absolute joke. But the boy fell like a ton of bricks. You know what I mean? And this is what I'm saying. We need to be a bit more streetwise. And again, I'm going to open the phone lines like I says, boys. Well, that's us at kind of 20 past 8. We'll get the callers in, but I'm going to come back to it about our manager, about the learnings for this Old Firm game, because I don't want to make it all about the referees tonight. But if the callers phone in about it, then by all means we'll talk about it. But I want to just come back to the manager and get your thoughts on about the learnings that he needs to take after this game. So if you get yourself on mute, boys, we're going to open these phone lines. So let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, Bears, let's hear from you. Like I say, loads of talking points. Give your thoughts on everything that's actually going on, and especially this game at the weekend. Have you got any ideas out there how the club should be doing more? We are kind of limited as well with what we can think that the club should be doing, and we've seen the fan statement as well. So it would be good to hear other folks' opinions on it, and all opinions are welcome on the show, obviously. Robert, just back to the manager. I felt in hindsight, like I says, the way we started, the team was very nervous. But overall, I was pleased with how the manager handled the occasion. I think 3-1 was a bit unfair to him, to be fair, considering the efforts that we've put in. We should be doing better for McGregor's goal, I think, as well. We shouldn't be allowing a guy like that to have all the time in the world to have a direct shot, because we know he's got that in his locker. But overall, as a team, it wasn't a hammer. We actually handled a Celtic team who are so-called champions for basically nearly 120 minutes, mate. So with 10 men. So I think the only thing I hope for out the manager, mate, is he kind of learns from this Old Firm and knows what he's up against, mate. Your thoughts?
Aye, listen, mate. I said a comment on Sunday, and I'll say the same again tonight. You'll learn more about your individual players in your team in defeat than you do in a victory. Aye, you can see the response was there in the second half to stay in the game, because we could have easily went to a 5-4-1 GB and tried to see a game out and get them on a counter and nick a goal to take it to extra time, which we did do. We obviously get the penalty, which was a just reward for the efforts. But come extra time, you could see the space opening up, and that's when it comes back to, as I said earlier in the show, the 10-man effort they're putting in. There's going to be space, and that's where the goal comes from, because I think if we've got 11 players in that park, McGregor doesn't get that time and space to effectively pick his spot and score the goal. So that impacts it 100%. But listen, it's his fourth game with the club. 2 wins, 2 defeats. But I've seen signs of improvement already, mate, because mentality-wise, if you look at that on Sunday alone, Heeds didn't go down. Even at 3-1, we were still trying to push and get up the park. We could have sat in. We could have just lost our heads and just crumbled. Yes, Butland made a few saves to keep the scoreline probably down than what it was. We should have took chances, but when you look at the game as a whole, mate, 3-1, you're right, it doesn't say the whole context of the game. There was moments where we were on top and we've got to capitalise taking those clinical chances that we didn't do, and it could have been a different game completely. But there is signs there, mate, that he's starting to understand the players. Players are playing in their natural positions as well, GB, which helps. We've seen formations or a formation under Russell Martin that players weren't in their natural position. They were overloaded with information and instructions. There's more structure with this setup. Whether he sticks with it or not remains to be seen. Might be game by game that he has a a different setup, a different approach. But when you're coming into a cup semi-final on the back of a solid performance defensively and a 1-0 win, I'm not surprised he didn't change it and go more attacking. I thought the way set up was fine. The personnel was fine. It was just the attitude in the first half, which was completely off compared to the rest of the game. But overall, mate, I'm pleased with what I've seen, the reaction. I said a few weeks in the show that once Martin was gone and we got somebody in, it's down to the players to react and respond. And they've shown glimpses of it. It is now about consistency, game by game. We've got a game on Sunday. Then we've got an international break, which gives him time on the training park, which he's not yet had. The games have been thick and fast. And then the next phase is January, when he can do some business with where he needs to strengthen, who we need to get out the door. And there's a few players that could be out the door quicker than they come in. So it's a good time for Danny Rose to assess this squad during this period. But there is improvements there. And I think it's all clear to see where the improvements need to be.
It's fair play, mate. Jim, mate, your kind of thoughts, mate, on the manager and learnings that he needs to take for it? For myself, I think so far he's ticking the boxes, mate. He's shown fight, especially with his change of formation going into the second half. He showed me that he wasn't scared to go for it, which was good. And again, he didn't allow it to turn into one of these 5-1 drubbings. You know what I mean? So that's the idea he gets the tick marks. I just hope he kind of learns that Celtic are there for the take, mate, and we just need to be a wee bit more streetwise, I think. On you, mate?
Aye. Back to the game again. I just felt very disappointed in the actual way we actually lost the game. John Suter, where's the guy at 6 foot odds ducking for? Ducking. By the way, I see the game. I blame Jack Butland for the goal. But see, when I look back on it, John Suter is the one who is culpable for that goal. Ducking. He actually ducked. And that's what, to me, swung Jack Butland. And then the third goal, James Tavernier, what's he doing with the pass again? And the pass just exploits us. And the wee boy again gets away and gets a goal away, man. Unbelievable, by the way. We were the masters again of our own downfall. With 4 sitters, and every goal we lost was a disgrace again. John Suter, by the way, at the second goal, to me was a catalyst, man. He's actually ducked. He ducked out the road of the ball.
I mean, I agree, and I think, see, the thing is, see, when you're having the moments where your defence is shaky and stuff like that, and even like say their first goal and stuff, how the set play, how allowed him. Oh, sorry, I'll come back to you, Jim, mate. We've been joined with Carol. I think Carol's come in, mate. How you doing?
Oh, all right. Right, can I just remind you a wee bit of what you're talking about? You know, about we've got to learn the dark arts. How many times did you call out Dessers last year for going down too easy?
Us?
Aye.
Or the fans?
I listen to Rangers Radio every night. You're doing too easy. Why is he going down? What's he greeting like a baby for holding his face? Right, here's the other thing. I'm not just or the score, and you hear it all the time. If you want to get rid of a lot of this controversy, you get rid of pundits and you get rid of co-commentators, because that was disgusting on Saturday. You know, the co-commentator, that Stuart Egypt.
Aye, I agree, Carol. That's it. See, for him to get it to Trusty early that 90 minutes, I think it was just a wind-up. I mean, that boy, Michael Stewart's been greeting since the day he walked out of Rangers, you know what I mean? And for him to say that it wasn't a red card when you've got one of your bitterest rivals sitting on the same podcast saying that it's a clear red, just shows you the bias that he's coming away with.
I'll tell you what. Right? Okay, I can't remember who you're. GB.
It's GB. Aye.
Aye. Right. No, I've listened to Neil Lennon a few times. He's one of the few talk sense. Can you believe it? Blind.
No, I know. One thing where I'll give Lennon his credit, Carol, is that he looks at it for if he was sitting in a Celtic dugout and he was wanting that decision. That's where he's looking at for. And he'd be, if I was Rangers, if a Rangers player done that to his goalkeeper, he'd be screaming for the red card.
Oh, of course he would. But we don't. We're too nice. That's the trouble. We're too honest. Oh, he went down too easy. That's how he gets booked. You go, no, that's what you're meant to do. If you're in the penalty box and you get touched, go down, you might get a penalty. I'm not talking about diving.
No, I'll take it round the boys, mate. Robert, kind of a wee bit back to the manager. His post-match interview. He says he didn't recognise he didn't know about anything about the red cards. He wasn't sure. He wasn't wanting to get into it and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I think he needs to kind of push the narrative a wee bit, mate. He can't just sit back and totally be novice to it.
Oh, I agree with that.
I think he's just been cute with his answers, GB, to be fair to him. It's his first Old Firm game. He now knows, as you said, what can he learn from this game. He can learn about his players, he can learn about the team, learn about the support, but he'll also learn about the officials. He's got a real eye-opener with how the standard is up here. I thought he was just kind of cute with his answers, to be honest, because he knows how it's going to be portrayed in the media. Again, if he says one thing, it's turned into 500 different ways of the way he's actually intending it. So I don't really blame him for the way he's, I don't want to say downplayed it, but kind of brushed it a wee bit because he's not seen it. Again, obviously the statement comes out after the game, so whether there's been discussions beforehand and he knows that statement's coming to say, look, I'll answer this bit, but I know what's coming next. I just thought it was kind of cute with his answers, mate, because at times we've seen managers being too honest, and it's really got them nowhere either as well. I think you'll just learn the media kind of aspect as well, but I didn't really have an issue with him answering the way he did, if I'm being honest, mate.
No, Carl, your thoughts, mate, on the manager's
I didn't listen to it, but I quite agree with that, because if you're going to start moaning and greeting as a manager, you're counted as a bleating sheep, you know. So he's a greeting face cat. He's greeting about that. Can he not take defeat? But I'm used to defeat now. Are we not used to defeat?
I know. I heard Albert the other day say he was sick of it, and I think. Well, I don't think we are kind of sick of the result. I think what we are sick of is what Jim's touched on, is that we're the masters of our own downfall. There was clear-cut chances, Carl, for us to deal with that game before we got to sending off.
Well, I did come on Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember now, that I thought we'd no pace in the team up front. I did. I says that. I think it was Albert Knox, I'm not sure. No, that was Saturday. Or whatever day it was, I can't remember now, you know. Getting old. Mm-hmm. But you go with that. But still, we've no guts. We haven't any guts. I would just love to see one time a right good tackle going in. I mean, take a yellow card. It doesn't even be a red card. It would have been. But you've got some type of. I did say before, I don't see why Asgard's on the team. That guy does nothing. I don't care if he can. It's like Todd Cantwell. We don't need prancing ponies. We need guys, roll your sleeves up, pull your socks up and get into it.
Nah, good point. So let me take that to Jim, mate. Jim, I think as much as I've praised them already tonight for the kind of the fight and no making it into a cricket score, there's, when you look at some of our players, compared to what Celtic's youth boys were coming on to, that John Kenny and that other boy that scored the third goal and stuff like that, you could see there was fight in them. I mean, and these boys are new to the Old Firms as well. I just wish our boys would turn up the way their boys are turning up.
Again, it's down to me, it's down to the leadership in the group. Again, we've got a boy, they bring on two Waynes, i.e. Kenny and I don't know, Donny Osmond, whatever his name is. And we've got the boy Curtis, who can't even get himself into that team. And I'm not being funny. The gas man again, did he go buy anybody? Did he actually go buy anybody?
I think there was that chance where he should have hit the shot first time, and he took a touch and then he lets Scales again. How that guy, every Old Firm, seems to to have an absolute blinder. That guy is one of the Celtic's worst offenders I've ever seen in my puff, and yet he seems to year after year turn up with trophies. How we don't put pressure on that guy, Carl, week in, week out, is
I'll tell
unbelievable.
you something. You're talking about Scales being he fluffs every week and everything, mate. Look at our defence. Don't say Scales is bad. I mean, it's all right saying Celtic are the worst Celtic you've seen. They beat us. The tennis stayed at the cleaners. It didn't matter. Second half, we were brilliant. I'll not take that away. We were brilliant. We should have hammered them. But the tennis stayed cleaners. They scored. We didn't.
Yep. No,
you've got Danilo. You've got Danilo coming playing as a first choice forward. Who are you kidding? You're complaining about Chermiti cost £8 million. Danilo is £6 million. I think this is his third or his fourth season, isn't it? Third season. How much does that work out with wages, with transfer fee? And absolutely doing nothing.
Robert, mate, that comes back to, unfortunately, the director of football's recruitment, mate. It's been a shocker.
100%, mate. 100%. And just before I go into that point in particular, what I will say about Danilo, Carl, is injuries have affected him quite badly. And I'm not getting that as an excuse, but he's been hampered with injuries that he's had the broken jaw and a cheekbone at St John's.
As soon as you say that, it's an excuse. Balogun broke his jaw twice last year and played more games than Danilo.
Listen, mate, you're right. The facts don't lie, or the stats don't lie. But what I'm saying is, as a striker, when the injuries he's had a bit of a torrid time. At times he's played, he should be doing more. But he's come into the squad out of nowhere. He gets his 2 goals in 2 games, gets a winner against Hibs. And then, I'll be honest, at half-time, I'd have took off Chermiti and left Danilo on the park, because if you're going to get a goal out the 3 strikers we've got, you'd have probably said Danilo at this point in time. But GB, you're right, it does come down to recruitment yet again, because if we're spending...
What's happened to Josh Gentles?
He's on loan. I think he's at Rafe Rovers or something, on loan at Championship.
That's doing the recruitment again and all then, isn't it?
Aye,
Give me backup.
Every transfer in, every transfer out always boils down to recruitment. And listen, I'm not saying Josh Gentles is the ready-made striker to take Rangers forward, but can he do more than what Chermiti's doing?
He could probably do more than what the 2 of them are doing.
Aye, listen, I totally agree with you, Carl, because Dessers arguably was the right time to go with his age and contract, but what he did give you was work, effort, every single day.
That's right. Every week, wait, no, I'll take you back to the beginning of the season, or the end of last season. He did say in one of the interviews, if Rangers want me, I'll be here.
Aye.
There you go.
Yep, and obviously decisions were made that he was moved on, and again, people argue that it was the right time for him to go. Contract situations, finances, you name it. But the guy got you goals. That's one thing you couldn't take away from him. You get over 50 goals in 2 seasons. I think I seen a stat earlier on.
He wasn't the greatest, but God in heaven, he put on his work trousers every day and his boots.
Aye, and he might miss 2 chances, but he would still get you goals. For his Chermiti right now,
aye,
you've got no faith that he's going to get you a goal if he misses 2 or 3.
God, I've got to hang the odds in my pyjamas. A wee teddy bear hodges my pyjamas and that. There's more movement than Chermiti.
Alright, let me go to Jim, boys. Jim,
right, I'm going to go now. Thanks a lot for taking my call. You've cheered me up immensely. Thank you very much.
Well, cheers, Carl. You've cheered us up by phoning in, mate, because you've gave us points to talk about, mate. So appreciated again.
Cheers, Carl. Take care, mate.
He's not even take my point board, just hung up the phone.
He's away to get his pyjamas looked at.
He's away getting his pyjamas on, man.
Jim, Chermiti, mate, like, do you know something? See that whole goal that he scored with Mark, right? And he does that shushing thing, right? And I know folk have says, oh, he's just skiing it back and stuff like that, but I tell you something, it shows you the attitude of these guys, that they're walking into Rangers thinking they're playing for Real Madrid, mate. You know what I mean? That performance against Celtic for him is shocking. I mean, it was absolutely for a boy thinking that he's already made it, mate. We were on about doing all this finger to the mouth and all that carry on. For him to go and do that kind of performance, I would have actually appreciated it.
Ascar done his exact same when he scored there a week ago and all. The haunt of the year towards the supporters.
That
just shows the mentality within this group.
Yep.
That's all they're interested on is thing. I don't know if you noticed it at the weekend. I was in the West Stand at the very 2 years in the game there. But he came round behind the goal and he's trying to clap the fans again coming round the side of the back of the park. And a few of the Union Bears gave him the old mouthpiece sign back to him, and I don't think he liked it again at the weekend there.
Well, mate, I think, see if they're going to have that attitude, they're going to have to take it back, mate, because, again, they're getting paid decent dough to turn up, mate, and I think Albert said it, mate, they're paid to score goals, they're paid to put away the chances. Now, it wasn't, especially his first one, mate, it wasn't a hard chance, you just had to place it. Any decent striker's putting that away, and by the way, I would say even Dessers was putting that one away, and it just shows, like you said about Asgard and stuff like that, these boys need a boot right up the backside and brought back down to earth, because they seem to be walking about, and I don't know if the two of you agree, but they seem to be walking about thinking that they're already Premier League players and all this carry on. They're miles off it. Like they've done nothing in their careers yet. I mean, Asgard's played for Luton, and Chimitis came for Everton reserves. I mean, it's if ever they need a wake-up call, if they want to go and make a statement, go in the next game. See if they want to make a statement, go in the next game and shows that they've got that talent to go to the next level. Jim, mate, on you go.
Sorry about that there. You heard Jack Butland and you heard the captain for consecutive games there coming away with just what we're talking about here. They don't get it. I mean, they're the leadership group in there. Again, and I know things have changed and all the rest of it. See, a Rangers captain, they would have battered the two the dressing room. They would have battered them. Richard Goff, Sean Greggs, to name but a couple, previous captains. They would have belted him for that attitude. I mean, Jack Butland basically told you, and the captain told you the other weekend and all, the same issue. They don't know what it's all about. They don't get it. And see if they don't get it, they can get to. That's all I can say. I don't care. I heard you earlier on there saying he needs to identify who needs to be moved. You'd see even your £8 million striker, see if he needs to be moved in January, and he needs to be moved because it's not good enough. I'll keep the manager until he gets some of his own players in there before I start criticising him. I've seen small shoots that there's slight signs of improvement, but he needs to get some of them out of that dressing room and needs to get them out in January. That again is doing to dodgy farewell. That's who that's doing to now. Let's see if he wants to earn his call instead of what everybody's thinking what he's up to. Things need to change, and they need to change now. And see if they don't, then it just shows you that we've got a manager who we thought maybe when he did go in, is going to be a yes man to him.
I hope no, Jim. I really do. I hope that he's sitting back watching what's going on, mate. But if he does turn into a yes man, mate, these players will do him again, mate. He'll be another one that will end up cannon fodder. And to be honest, I well thought it was bad the last time. If he end up sacking another manager because of results and all the rest of it, and because players will not end up showing their qualities, then what says he'll get it tenfold. But Robert, just to come back, in fact, boys, 2 minutes, just going to pause it. If you want to give us a phone, it's 0141 356 1972. Like I says, it is a phone-in show. Plenty to talk about, like I says, for the weekend. We've got a game coming up, obviously, against Roma that we will touch on in the second half, boys. But aye, Robert, I've no doubt there's talent in the squad. But as Jim says, mate, see if it's not working out for Chimiti, we're not seeing enough come this January transfer window, mate. I'd be quite happy to let the boy go out on loan and earn his stripes somewhere, and then he can come back to us when he's got a wee bit more experience under his belt. Because as it stands now, and I don't know why they had this mindset, mate. In the summer, we're hearing the manager now, the new manager coming in saying it's all about getting wins. So why was it not all about getting wins in the summer? That we should have had more experience coming in. But I says it would have been easy to just get Hod. Shankland's not a long-term answer, but it would have been an easy signing, getting a boy in like Shankland and stuff like that. So why was it in the summer, mate, not all about getting the wins and then worrying about projects later on?
See, if we knew the answers, mate, we would make decisions here and there about players in their futures. We don't have the answers for that. It does boil down to recruitment, and it's fine saying if Chimiti needs to go out on loan or we need to get players out in January. That's fine if you've got the suitors for them. I mean, who in their right mind at this point in time would look at Rangers and identify Chimiti as a guy that's worth taking on loan? I couldn't pick a team in any league. Because what's he going to offer you? What has he shown us? Nothing so far. One goal against Kilmarnock that the keeper didn't cover himself in glory way. So it's fine trying to get players out, but you've got to have suitors to take them out on loan or buy them, pay their wages. And ultimately, that decision does lie with Kevin Thelwell, with what deals happen. As much as a manager can have his opinions of who he thinks is going to benefit the squad, long term or short term, if it's a loan deal until the end of the season, about coming in or coming out, it is all going to lie with the recruitment and the staff. So the only thing that Danny Rule can do is, if he thinks that Chimiti's not cutting it, is don't play him. Simple. That's as far as he can go as a manager or a head coach. Business in and out is above him.
I agree, Robert, and I think come these next upcoming games, mate, maybe not so much Roma, because Roma, the Europa League now, I think it's just got to take care of itself, to be honest. It's more the league I'm got to be more watchful of what happens in that. But Jim, he's kind of fall into the same trap as what Russell Martin done, with gone by how the players are performing in training, and that's how they get the nod. Because as we've seen, mate, Lyle Cameron's not even getting a sniff near this team. And Lyle Cameron, when he's been playing in the league, has been half decent. You know what I mean? And yet in training, probably Asgard's probably shooting for outside the box and putting them in top corner because there's nobody on them. You'll probably have Chimiti banging in tap-ins and all this carry on because there's no pressure on him. I just really hope the manager's not getting sucked into this whole thing that Russell Martin was, that because they've been performing great in training, then they get the nod at the weekend.
TD, I don't know if he's pick up on these drills at the day before these games. See, the thing that really busts my neck with this group of players. You watch them doing the drills where they're pinging shots in for 20 yards. And I mean, they're great finishes. But when it comes into game time, they don't take these things into game time. It's something that's really annoyed me. I don't know how long, how they can ping them in. Then they go into game times and you see the sitters that's getting missed. Sitters like the weekend for Chimiti, for Raskin, and for Gasman. 4 absolute sitters. I'm not saying Celtic didn't miss any chances, but the 4 that we missed were 4 absolute sitters.
One word, Jim. Pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, again, goes down to your recruitment. When you had your manager saying at the start of the season, the manager who went away, saying that he looked him in the eyes and that they wanted to play for Rangers. I'd love to know what eyes they looked in front of them, by the way, and said they wanted to play for Rangers. See on another hand, see the loanees, would you return some of them to their clubs in January?
Well, Cornelius, I think, is probably earned his stripes for me. Jaeger was like a shaking leaf for that first half, but he did grow into the game. I think that boy just needs probably games, but if he keeps having these kind of first half performances in Niger, I wouldn't have no qualms in cutting that short. Arms, again, can he move Tav out the road to hold down that right hand position? I don't know if that's because Arns is more a wing back rather than what Tav does, but he's another question mark. Magoma, again, hot and cold, mate. So I'd probably say we need to keep him because we've not got that many left backs. Probably forgetting somebody else. So I kind of overall, mate, to get us through the season, I think we probably just need to keep a hold on him because there's nobody else, like I say, coming in to steal the shot. And Jake, mate, anybody you would chip back in a minute?
I know you're saying there about the big guy Cornelius, but to me, the jury's still out with him and all. I thought at times at the weekend there he kind of looked shaky. The big guy was just a bomb scare for a minute go. Big jigger all over the place. But it's frightening. Why they were brought in there? But again, big worry again. Can we afford to go on another match spending spree?
I'll take that one to Robert. Robert, mate. I mean, the owners have came out and says that if the role identifies areas to be improved in January, then they will allow it. But how much allowing will they allow? Like, we've got a full defence that needs rebuilt in the summer with the looks at it. So where does he focus on, mate? Albert was on the money at the weekend. Our midfield was non-existent. And it's always the same in all firm. The midfield battle, they'd shut down Callum McGregor. They'd put him out the game and no allowed Celtic to play any of the touch football. I mean, it's any game that we've won in all firms, you've never heard a Callum McGregor. And why we allowed that again, even at the weekend there, was probably the manager as well. On the manager, a wee bit wet behind the ears. Because to be fair to Russell Martin, yeah, they put Asgard on him in the first game at Ibrox. So I'm surprised the manager didn't do his homework on that one because Callum McGregor's the one that makes them tick.
Well,
I think the reason for that maybe be I don't think we had a midfield at the weekend. We had Nico Raskin and we had Diamondi. Who else was supposed to be part of that midfield?
Asgard.
Well, he sent half early doors, didn't he?
That's it, mate. I know. So I know that's the plan goes out the window, but on that basis, Robert, like, where does the manager focus on? Where do you think he's looking to now? Because let's face it, with 10 men, we were creating chances. So there was chances there in that game to win the bloody game. So it's not as if we're no. I mean, with Russell Martin, we want to create an end. So we're now starting to create something. We're just needing boys to finish it. We're needing a midfielder to grow up here. We're needing a striker to grow up here. We're needing Gassama to get back to the form he first had when he joined us. We're needing Ant-Man to find what he's came with that last team he's came for. We're just needing him to actually, like I say, grow up and go out and play football and win games, mate.
GB, you've named some players are saying we need them. We need every single one of the players in the squad. Every single one of them we need. Now, whether they've got the ability or not to cut it at our club remains to be seen and decisions will be made. But it's a squad game. We need every single player. If they're not up to it, you try and ship them out. And again, it comes down to suitors that will take the players off you. Going back to just briefly the McGregor and the space in the first half in particular, up until the sending off, if you watch it back, Chermiti was actually the guy tasked to kind of mark him, and he'd done it up until the sending off, and then that's when the space developed because he didn't know whether to stick with McGregor or press the ball, didn't know whether to shuffle across, and again that comes into the impact of the red card, which as much as you can say the referees made that decision, we can all agree there's no arguments, it's a red card. So Asgard was trying to be fancy, as Jim said earlier, these kind of tricks and flicks, might want to make it look good, but all he had to do was take it down and knock it back, retain possession. We keep in a dangerous area, he stays on the park. That red card doesn't happen. So it's these small moments of madness or thought process. Jack Buckland, as Jim said, came out and said, I don't know what goes through the players' minds half the time. That was certainly an example of one. He could have just retained possession. But you come to January, mate, I agree with Albert, the midfield needs something. We're short in midfield, and the guys that can actually give us effort and dig aren't playing. Barron was suspended. Lyle Cameron, he's not the technically gifted footballer. He said that himself. He knows what he can bring to a squad. He brings energy. He brings drive. May not be the tidiest footballer, but he gives you something in the middle of that park. But he's not getting a sniff. So we need something in the middle. The defence needs sorted out completely. As Jim says, but that defence is gone next season. The whole defence is gone. So do we build in January? Or do we just return a few, like you said, and get players in on a deal that we can get long term and start to build from the back? But there's a lot of areas of focus, because you could then say, well, up front, we need a more clinical striker. We thought that would be Miovski because he knew the league. He's not getting the service, but when he has, he's not done anything. Danilo, okay, he's come into cold, get 2 goals, but he'll not carry you through a season. And Chimiti, well, the proof's in the pudding. He's not up to it at this point in time. And I don't think he's got the traits to go and deliver. I hope he does. I hope I'm proved wrong, but I just don't see it in the evidence we've seen. So every single area of the park needs improved yet again. So as much as we keep saying every year, a rebuild, we're getting into January and we're now having to trust these guys that we're protesting against to go and get bodies out, but bring in the right players, which they clearly haven't done in the summer. So how can we supporters have any faith and trust that these guys are going to go and get it right in the second half of the season? Because I don't. I don't have faith and trust that recruitment team. Now, I'm not just saying fail well. If that's the best players that we can bring in the summer, the whole scouting department needs to be looked at. You cast your mind a year ago, mate, we started a review into the football club, the structure. We've never known the outcome of that. We've never known what needs to be improved, what the strengths were, what the weaknesses were. Nothing. Not a peep. Now, for me, the recruitment is the key to your team. The only way you can put a successful team together is if you bring in the right players. And we've not done that for years. That's where the problem lies.
Jim, just quickly, mate, before the tunes kicking on at 9 o'clock there, mate, but as Robert says, the recruitment, mate, when you look at Hearts this season, every player that they brought in, mate, is a starter. And the reason they're a starter is they've had experience. They've came from leagues where they've been playing constant football, mate.
You're right. Again, goes back to the question: do you trust Furwell, Lywell for the go out and spend more money? Seriously, I honestly don't know what these owners, what these Americans are actually seeing in these guys, what they're actually doing.
I'm hoping our chairman, like I says, will be keeping a very watchful eye come January, mate, see how this gets turned around. I don't think we'll do massive work in January, mate, to be honest. I think it'll be a couple of additions, and they'll be hoping that somebody, our manager, can galvanise the squad and get something out of these signings. But I will come back to that after the tune. So if you get yourselves on mute, we're going to have a tune.
I don't know if you can see what the Rangers really mean to me in these last few years. I've been afraid that we might drift away, so I've been telling old stories and singing songs that made me think about where we came from, and that's the reason why I feel so very proud today. So let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Ibrox Stadium is calling me, and now I'm coming home. To think of life without the Rangers, you know that it would make me more sad. Glasgow Rangers, you're everything I've ever had. said keep believing. Davy Cooper on the wing. And we remember Gaza with great affection. The day the helicopter changed direction. And Jimmy Baxter was pure perfection. Super Valley scores again. So let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Ibrox Stadium is calling me, and I'm coming home. To think of life without the Rangers, you know that it would make me more than sad. Glasgow Rangers, you're everything I've ever had. So let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Ibrox Stadium is calling me, and I'm coming home. To think of life without the Rangers, you know that it would make me more sad. Glasgow Rangers, you're everything I've ever had. Without the Rangers, you know that it would make me more than sad. Glasgow Rangers is everything I've ever had.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Cheers for that, Foxy boy. Aye, Bears, give us a call, 0141 356 1972. Just like I says, give us a call in like our Carl done, the legend that is Carl, coming in, making his points and giving us something to talk about tonight. So, again, big thanks to the big man there for phoning in the night to us. Well back, boys?
Aye.
Aye, still here.
Good stuff. Now, a wise man at the start of the show before we came on made a good point. Now, and I know we're kind of jumping back to what we first talked about, but I just want to kind of bring it up and get your thoughts on it. These decisions and the way it's gone and the enjoyment of football with VAR and all the rest of it, boys paying some serious amounts of money to go and watch Rangers and let's say your semi-finals and all the rest of it, turning up to that and then getting wrongly forced into a decision where we are not getting the rub of the green, as they say. Could this all force us to start looking to move leagues, mate? And I know I'm probably digging up old rumours, but could this force the Rangers owners to start looking into maybe going down to the lower leagues of England and working their way up and just walking away from Scottish football?
Well, it to happen, but I don't think there's any chance it's ever going to happen. I mean, it was already mooted before, but they were going to get down to England. But who in English football is going to step aside to let Rangers and possibly Celtic step in? No chance. Find this guy. I know, by the way, I can remember this being discussed. I'm a wee bit maybe older than you guys. But I don't think there's any chance it's ever going to happen. I think there's more chance of maybe being a European kind of league kind of setup than Rangers or Celtic going to play in England. No chance.
I think they're quite happy, mate. They're quite happy because they've got everything going their way. And they're all the decisions. They're pushing for Champions League every year. Most teams that are challenging for any title seem to fall away. So I can't see. To be honest, mate, if we go and do it, it's on our back. And for me personally, if it continues on this trajectory, that we're constantly getting done air, and there's officiating that is very, very suspicious, then I mean, what's the point in us turning up to the games? I think for enjoyment wise and stuff like that, and for success wise, then we've done it. I mean, let's face it, we've won titles, we've won umpteen Scottish Cups, we've won umpteen League Cups. Would it not be a good time to go and try and do what our Wrexham done and try and push it and try and get into a Premier League? Personally, just my opinion, if it was going to go down this road, I wouldn't mind us doing it or looking, like you say, Jim, to a certain league. Celtic aside, Jim, and everything else to aside, would you do it if the league's opened their doors and they felt it was a good marketing tool to bring the Glasgow Rangers into the league? Would you do it?
Possibly, but we're still a Scottish team. But I think a European setup is more chance than anything else.
Robert, mate, your thoughts on it? Could you see our fans ending up getting that sick of the league that we decide that Scottish football's not for us anymore? And as we've seen, mate, when we were doing in the lower leagues and having to fight back, Scottish football was ready for the bin, mate.
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to it, mate. I'd actually love to see it. Would it happen? I don't think so. I would love to see it if we just decided to say we're going to apply to a different league. Now, whether that is English football, because it's might be the biggest league in the world, or the money's down there with TV rights, etc. The minute we done that, Scottish football would become our best mate again. Because the scene what it was like in 2012 when we were doing in the lower leagues, how much it affected the top flight. TV deals weren't there, stadiums were empty or half empty, allocations weren't getting filled. It impacts Scottish football. But as I said earlier on the show, mate, Scottish football is done with us. They couldn't care if we're in the league or not. Because if we went, there's your 4 Old Firm games away. So there's no big glamour tie for the TV deals. But smaller teams, like maybe not so much smaller teams, but your Hibs, your Hearts, and notoriously your Aberdeens would look at that and say, well, if Rangers are going, we could get second. That's European football. That's their highest point they'll look at. They'll not look at going first or anything. They'll think, well, we can get second. European football, why not? It helps us financially there. But the stadiums will be empty because how many of the fans are going to go to these games that they have 4 times a year? Whereas if we went down the road to England, you know for a fact our fan base travels global as it is, mate. So we'd fill Ibrox, even if it was in a League 2 down in England, we'd fill it. Done it in Division 3 up here. So I'd love to see it, but I don't think it's going to ever happen, mate. And you said that the fans decide. It's not going to be the fans that decide that, unfortunately. It needs to be the club. And I don't think the club would do that, if I'm being honest.
And their answers your question are the one we had at the very start of the programme, saying everybody needs to back us. Nobody's ever going to back us.
No, mate. And like I says, I'm bringing this up just as a pie in the sky thing. I'm just, I'm thinking kind of, like I says, one of your good presenters brought up the point. Like Scottish football does need us. And it's been proven that when we're not about, it all goes to pot, mate. And I just think these small threats, if it continues, like I says, if it keeps continuing like this, mate, every season, if you're challenging for a title and it's all these dodgy decisions, it's giving another team free way to have a title when they're absolutely shocking, mate. And I know Robert's saying there that it's not going to be us that decide it, but see if it's end of the day, see if it forces your fans away, it forces generations of the next group of Rangers fans away from Ibrox, then there's nothing there for the owners to have. I mean, so they really need to be careful with it because, and I agree with you, Jim, mate, this is why we need the rest of the leagues and the rest of the league to waken up, because once it starts happening to them more often, mate, you'll soon see them all shouting. We've got American owners now in at Hearts. We've got an American owner in at Aberdeen. Hibs have got a wee bit of money behind them and all now. I think there's an American owner at Livy now. And I mean, these guys are not going to be ploughing their money in to be getting done there, mate, with questionable officiating, mate. Jim?
But they are getting done there. They are getting done there every week with questionable refereeing decisions, and nobody's opening their mouth because they're happy to take the Rangers and the Celtic pound.
So is that what we've got today, mate? We've got to maybe shake it up a bit?
Well, we'll shake it up. Well, I'm not saying that it's due to the fans. Is the possible scenario is just don't go to any of the grunts? I know, again, you'll get a lot of fans who go like that. Nah, I've got to watch Rangers every week. Well, either put up or do something about it. Or shut up. It's simple.
Robert's a hard one, isn't it? I mean, I've been talking about us going down to the lower leagues. But I got to admit, mate, there was nothing better than winning 55. I mean, that title, just the feeling of that, and obviously it was hard times with COVID and all that, but the feeling of winning that title and like I says, the possibility of being in Champions League and stuff like that. When if somebody gave us the keys to go down south, you're walking away from all that, mate. You're probably walking away from titles. You're walking away from trophies for a good few seasons, mate. I mean, and it could be decades because it's that hard to climb that league. Like I say, you've seen that Wrexham. They've had to plough some amount of money, and even this season, you can see them kind of leveling off. They're finding it hard to stick in that championship, and it's that bounce. Once you get in, jump for that championship up to the Premier League, it's trying to stay there and all. You know what I mean? Look, the other night there, you've got Sunderland now up to 4th in the Premier League. It's a crazy league down there. I just wonder. There's pros and cons for both, isn't there, Robert?
There is, mate. There is absolutely pros and cons to staying here and going elsewhere. Again, ultimately, as I said though, nothing's going to change in terms of how Scottish football is run until the powers above, Doncaster, Cobham, whoever else may be on the boards, are shifted. And we can't do it ourselves. But when Jim's right in saying that nobody's going to support us because they never supported us 13 years ago, what makes you think they're going to do it now? I'd like to think the narrative might have changed, but it hasn't changed for media, hasn't changed for pundits. We are still Rangers. In their eyes, they see us as somebody else, and we are the bad guys in Scottish football. So nothing will change. You can go back 2 or 3 seasons, mate, even just short term, of how many statements we've put out about refereeing standards. What's changed? Nothing. They replaced the guy at head of refereeing with Willie Collum. It's still the same absolute dross. It's the same officials every week. So we could put out statements as a club, but nothing's going to change. Does it mean we need to go and look elsewhere for a league? Pros and cons, mate. Pros and cons. But you're saying we could go down south and not win anything for a number of years. We're not winning anything up here. So what difference does it make? Ultimately, what difference does it make if we're not winning anything up here and we're sitting comfortable at second place going, it's fine, we'll try again next year? What difference does it make going to League 2 and getting promotion to League 1?
No, you're right, mate. I mean, let's face it, you're looking at the players that we loaned away to Birmingham, and they got out of League 1 with our dross, basically. So it's not to say that we couldn't do it. I think easily we could hold on ourselves in the Championship if we just got our act together. I mean, I think we could definitely handle that league. It's the next jump where you need the dough and you need probably a bit of luck as well. But Jim,
do you know what needs to change? Sorry, mate. Do you know what needs to change? It's the officiating that needs to change in Scottish football. See if the officials went down to England, for talking sakes, to see how they do a game and how they communicate using VAR. They'll get decisions wrong, but it's not as frequent and often as it is wrong up here. So go down there and see how it's run. And I can tell you something, you'd get an absolute eye-opener with the standard.
Aye. Jim, as it stands now, VAR since it's came in, it's not really benefited anybody but Celtic. Do you think we should be going back to the drawing board and scrap it, because again, it's though I think even Livingston of Tournament says that they don't see the point in spending the money on it because there's no benefit to them. So maybe we should just scrap it and go back to what I says. It's all on the referee then. You know what I mean?
But it benefit one club again. Do you think it's going to change?
No, I don't think it would change, mate. I think you would still have crazy stuff like at the weekend and that. The only thing is, would just be more scrutiny on the one person. Whereas what's happening now is that Nick Walsh is getting away with it because the VAR team never picked up on it. I mean, or vice versa. The VAR team's picked up on it, but the referees not made the final decision. I mean, or the referees made the final decision. It's been a wrong decision, i.e. Nick Walsh sticking with his red card against Diamandi against Dundee United. When the VAR team are screaming at him, no, it's light. It's not violent conduct. It's a hard one, mate. I don't know. You got any answers for it, mate? What would you do? Would you look at? That's a thing, Jim. We're going round the houses a bit because it's not even if our club can go like that, right? Let's all band together and try and get informed referees because, like you say, there's one club there that would probably knock it back, mate.
I think it's a. I think one. It's a hard one because I think. I think the VAR thing. I was one that wanted it because I thought it would have sorted out or the carry on it's going on in the game, but some of the decisions are baffling.
To be fair, mate, at the weekend, with the Maeda one, which was our absolute nightmare with the ricochet again, the VAR stepped in and drew the lines of death and actually saved us with a toenail. We gone 1-0 down. So in that instance, it worked. You mean where they've just got to get better with it. I just think they need better staff, mate. I think that's what it is. I don't think it's a bad tool to have because it does, let's say, highlight bad refereeing decisions. I just think like I says, Will Coleman coming out every other week, doing his wee show with him off of Sky, trying to justify all his things. That's where all these clubs in our league should be coming out and saying, well, why is our head of refereeing constantly coming out and apologising for shambolic refereeing when he's meant to be the one that's meant to be training them on it? Surely, like I says, these chairmen should be stepping up to the mark and going like that, well, maybe you're not the right guy to be leading the referees since they're making all these constant mistakes. Jim?
See regarding the club coming out and saying that they weren't satisfied with their explanation. Why don't the club tell us what their explanation was? Because I think this is what's going to be telling here. What was their explanation they gave for that not being a red card? Because if the club are saying they're not happy with it, well, tell us then. Bring it out there and tell us what they say to them.
Mm-hmm. Aye, out them. I don't know if there's a confidentiality thing right enough, Robert, but if it was anything nonsense like, it wasn't forceful or it was only it was a mistake, it was a hanging leg or whatever, then you get it out there and make him look like an idiot, mate.
Listen, see, at the end of the day, GB, the VAR itself isn't an issue. The issue is the people behind VAR, who are the same people the following week on the park. Now, I've said before, that you could look at the setup of how VAR is done with who's in that room, wherever it is. An ex-referee, ex-player, or whatever, right? You name it. You could look at the structure of that. But see if you look at another sport, rugby, right? They've got video assistant referee for years. The referees are mic'd up. The VAR guys are mic'd up, and you can hear exactly what's been said. Why not bring that in? Because then, right away, that eliminates any dubiety of what's been said, and you're not sitting for weeks waiting to find out what's been said. Bring that into the game, because you'll get your answer there and then.
I think we'll just put you in there, Robert. There's your new profession, mate. You getting about them. Right, we've been joined by another call. I think it's been John that's joined us. How are we doing, John?
Aye, not too bad, lads. Evening. Just with regard to just what you were saying there, I've often wondered how they get VAR so right in rugby and so wrong in football. Because you see in rugby, the tackles are flying in and whatever, and then there's no dubiety. The decision's made, both sets of fans just accept it and they carry on. There's no controversy, and nobody's leaving a rugby game talking about the referee or anything. That baffles me. But that's not the reason, the real reason I phoned. But we'll talk about that first.
No, mate, like, you crack on with your points, mate. This is what the show's
Right.
all about. We want to hear your opinions, mate. Crack on.
The other reason I phoned was just what you were talking about with Scottish football and that. With maybe Rangers going away, you know, and maybe trying to make their way through the English leagues or whatever. The actual coefficient might decide that for us, because European football is getting so hard to actually qualify for the Champions League. You're talking about the winners of this year's league starting in the second qualifying round. And just say, for example, Hearts did go and win the league. They're never ever going to win three qualifying rounds. They could possibly get beat in the first qualifying round next season. I mean, I know this is all hypothetical, but say just for example that did happen, European coefficient drops even further, and that really becomes a problem. If you know you start thinking there's no chance Champions League at all, that could drive decisions being made.
Aye.
Plus the fact, we are these American owners you just listed 5 minutes ago. Maybe we're better going to the NFL or the ASL or whatever it is and start playing in America.
Aye, I wouldn't mind that. Jim, I wouldn't mind a wee trip to New York, mate. Playing against the New York. What was the one that Frank Lampard played for again? Anyway, New York City. That's the one. I wouldn't mind taking a wee Rangers v New York City for a game, mate.
Maybe get on play the 49ers,
Aye, well, that's it. I wouldn't mind the half-time entertainment and all, but that's for another night. Rob, I'll take John. I'll take your point to Robert on the whole structure and what it says with the outlook could be for Rangers. Robert, see the coefficient. Our new owners, there's no doubt in my mind, they've seen the European football side of things, and that's probably been a big stake in why they've took us on. I don't think they've bought Rangers because of an entertainment night away up to Inverness Cali or Ross County on a Greek night watching solid pitches full of rain and all the rest of it. I think it's been these nights where we've been on our journey to Seville that's kind of enticed them to invest in Rangers, mate. So if the coefficient goes, then as John says, there's a decision to be made on that, mate.
100%, mate. And the coefficient's a great thing to bring into the conversation. Just while John was speaking there, I did actually check it, and it's remarkable the actual current points we've got. Now in Europe this season, we've had Aberdeen, Hibs, ourselves, Dundee United, and name across the city. Currently, our average coefficient points is 2.4. Now, last season, we were 9.25. That's a massive drop. Not just us as an individual club, but as a country. So Scottish football isn't enough. I couldn't find the current kind of position to see what leagues are above us, but you wouldn't be surprised to see some of the other smaller countries that are above us because their teams go and perform and get results. We're not doing that at all. So 100% coefficient could come into it, because if it's going to affect us in terms of a European stage where there's a lot of money to be made, and that's money that goes back to the owner's pocket as well, and it comes out of our fans' hard-earned cash. So if they're going to be affected by it, as well as our club and our supporters and our players, then it is something to worth consider. It's another pro to the conversation, mate. Can we afford to stay in Scottish football? No. Could we afford to go down a few, down a division, a couple of other countries and work our way up? Aye, because to tell you something, the cash injection would be astronomical, even for lower leagues in England. The attraction right away, smaller teams would welcome us because we'd fill the grounds, they'd get money in ticket sales, we'd obviously travel near and far, which we always do. So there's financial benefits to that, 100%.
John, mate, you want to come back in on that? And I just want to ask as well, mate, like, again, we are kind of shooting the moon with this. We're not saying it will happen or there's any inkling of it ever happening, but if you had the choice, would you give up the chance of having titles in European football to go and have a crack at it down south?
Oh, definitely. I would seriously consider it anyway. Just with the officials up here, the way the game's getting refereed, you've got no much chance. Let's just say that without actually being out and being full John Brown about it. Because you never know.
I know.
But
Be careful what
what
you say,
right. You're going to Hampden and you're expecting the worst. As soon as that referee and VAR team came out, you thought, oh, that's a welcome committee for our new manager, just to show him what he's up against. And sure enough, that's the way it worked out. You were always guaranteed there was going to be a controversial decision. What I'm actually interested in now is looking to see what actually happens with Hearts if they start getting some controversial decisions against them, maybe after Christmas or whatever. And I'll be following that closely because then you'll see a pattern. If they start getting some penalties against them and goals disallowed, not just when they're playing Celtic, in other games as well, it's definitely worth watching.
Yep, John, I'll take it to Jim, mate. Jim, I was having a wee nosy at the fixtures, just the Hearts and stuff like that, and they play Celtic twice before the end of January, mate. And as John says there, it will be interesting now that they've had a wee upturn with Martin O'Neill and all the rest of it, and they've obviously with Hearts, they won at the weekend, but the weekend before they dropped points and stuff like that. It will be interesting how the narrative goes there the coming months, mate. Jim?
It'll be interesting to see what actually takes place. All Hearts can do is just keep on winning, get me? But will they be allowed to keep on winning?
That's what I'm getting at, mate. Do you think the dark arts, as John's kind of alluding to there, will start to kick in? And as we've touched on tonight, if Hearts kick up about it, Jim, that's when I'm expecting our chairman to come out as well and say, well, we've highlighted it, I know. We back Hearts on their discrepancies as well. We would like an independent inquiry into the coaching of our Scottish referees.
It's
Jim?
the thing about the coaching. Is that really the issue, or do we start asking what teams they're affiliated to?
Not so much that, but again, you've got a guy who, was taking off of refereeing for being absolutely abysmal on his last game, which allowed Alistair Johnson to hornball the ball out the box and no give a penalty for it. When they had ample opportunity to bring in fresh blood from somewhere else and rip it up and start again. But this is what we're getting back to, Jim, is that we're looking now, if these decisions go the wrong way for Hearts, we're looking for them to come out, and then we need to be ready to, like I say, stir the pot a bit, I think, Jim.
Aye. But I don't think anybody in Scotland's going to back us. I know you're saying there, wait till Hearts start shouting, but wait till Hearts start shouting. How many other games have we maybe been impacted with this carry on?
I know, mate. I know.
Before Hearts start opening their mouth.
See, with that, you know how just before Martin O'Neill got the job, he came out with a statement about Rangers being so far off it and all that, and people were saying, oh, that should be clipped and all the Rangers players should be showing this and so this is what this guy thinks about you and all that. I agree with that to a certain extent, but what they really should need to do with this bunch of players that we've got just now is snap all these bad decisions we've had in the past 5 or 10 years together, put them all together and make them sit down and watch them on repeat and say to them, this is what you're up against, and just watch it and watch it and watch it until it sinks in. The way James Tavernier said, it's no sinking in. Watch all these bad decisions and just keep watching them, and that's what you're up against, and go out there and just do it. That's my opinion on that side of things.
No, John, you're right. And we need more players to come out, like, say, what Raskin done at Hibs and say, oh, it was a bit weird that was a weird decision. Not so much come out and criticise, because they've obviously got to protect the club, because you can't bring the game into disrepute and all that, carry on. But again, I think even that's what we touched on earlier, John, was the manager. He needs to be cute with his words. He needs to drop in these wee things and just show us that he's aware of it and all, that he's not got to just sit back and allow them to take him for a ride. But again, I think what we'll do, lads, is if he's going mute now, and we'll hear from our callers. Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Yep, we're in the last half hour. We've been joined with Carl tonight so far, and we've been joined with John. And John's making some cracking points tonight, mate. Thanks very much for joining us, bud. You're giving us some good debating points to make, mate. I just want to get your opinion, mate, on the manager. Like, are you enjoying the kind of wee upturn? Are you quite hopeful about how he's actually getting a tune out of some of these players now, mate?
I was hopeful. I'm quietly confident just now that he will be able to turn things around. But keeping my cards close to my chest, you don't want to go all in and back him 100% too early, and until you see you get some more results. That's just what I think.
Nah, you're right, mate. Robert, isn't it? Well, it's like that new girlfriend just after you've been jilted into it. You're very cautious of jumping in too quickly, mate, aren't you? So hopefully as time goes on, that you build up that trust and you go all in with the ring.
Oh, aye. Well, listen, as I said earlier on the show, mate, there's been small glimpses of improvement. There's been structure. There's been an identity on the park. It's particularly defensively, particularly the Hibs game, have looked more resolute, more sturdy at the back, more confident. First half on Sunday, we didn't look anywhere near that. Second half obviously grew into it, and pretty much kind of played a lot better than we did in the first half, and we should have came away with something, i.e. getting into the final, because the performance levels second half and extra time and the chances we created, we should have won the game. And that's ultimately where it comes down to at the end of the day. But there is improvements under Danny Rule that we can see and identify already in such a short space of time. And as I said, mate, he's not had very much time at all on the training ground. I think his first 6-7 days, he had 3 games. So to get some sort of information about formations and how to set up defensively, transition periods, then he's done well so far. Again, we'll base him as we go further on in the league and in the season, in the competitions we're still in, to make a full assessment, and also when he gets his own players as well, that'll be a big marker. Again, arguably you could say, are they his players or Felwell's players? That's a different story, but he's the guy that's got to put them out in the park, and if they can do something on the park and get us be prouder of their efforts, their performances, but more importantly results, then he'll be in good stead to go forward. Just briefly, I know you want to kind of move on from it, but just when you mentioned about the decisions going to go against Hearts because they're top of the league and stuff, the difference Hearts have got is they're scoring goals to win games, but makes any decisions go against them a small talking point. If we took our chances on Sunday and won the game, the debates we're having tonight and all week, they'll be mentioned, but they wouldn't be in as intense as what they have been if we'd won the game. So that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. Is sticking the ball in the back of the net. Referee decisions are always going to be against us. We know that. But if we can go and put the ball in the back of the net and win games, you don't talk about it as much.
You're true, mate. You're true. As I said as well, that if some of the chances that Jamaica had, man, if he bangs them away, it changes the total landscape of that game right away. I mean, it puts them on the back foot, and probably Asgard doesn't start to do fancy stuff. He starts to be a wee bit more composed. John, everything's happened with the team and all the rest of it, mate. For what you've seen in the second half performance at the weekend, what kind of changes would you make for the next game, mate? Because for me, mate, I would bring Wee Barn back in for Diamande. I would bring Lyle Cameron back in for Asgard, and I would bring in Mikey Moore for Chimete and put Danilo up front of them. That's my changes I would do, mate. What would you do?
Well, I definitely bring Barden back in. I'm not too sure if I'd keep Raskin in the team. I'm at my back's end with him, to tell you the truth. He's just not been performing. He must have some deal with the Belgian manager with regard to getting picked for the international team, that he's had a word with him, and you don't know what they've been saying, but he must have some assurances that he's going to get picked for Belgium regardless of what he does at Rangers, because what he's doing at Rangers doesn't merit him getting picked for the Belgian international team. So there's something strange going on there. Actually, at this point, I wouldn't be disappointed to see the back of him at Christmas. Anyway, and we're actually looking to put in a couple of good performances to Belgium to keep his market value, so as we can sell him, as far as I'm concerned, because he's not done anything recently at Rangers to merit him getting transferred, get any kind of transfer fee. But I definitely have Mikey Moore back in as well. I'd actually quite like to see Mikey Moore up with Danilo, just the two of them, and see what they can do.
Yeah, that's where my kind of things with as well, mate. The Asgard position, I think, as well, is up for grabs now as well. I think he needs a wee kind of shot on the bench, and somebody else needs to go and grab that shot in that position as well. But I know I'll take the question from the boys, mate. Jim, changes that you would make, mate, and you were there at the weekend, mate. Rascard's body language, what was it telling you, mate?
Yeah, Hicksey's Billy Big Boys. That's what I think it is. Hicksey's, but is it say fixer for clowns in the circus? Well, date when you're winning about 2 or 3-0. I still felt we challenged. I don't think there was any intention there what he done. But I think it would have been interesting if we would have touched the ball again, where Ralston was actually gone, because I felt he was getting through him prior to it. But the changes to the team, to me, the changes have got to be in midfield. And the big game getting dropped up top. I'm saying I thought the wee guy, Mickey Moore, the last couple of games, when he's been brought on, he's been getting a kind of free roll. Looks a lot better, to me anyway.
Yep.
I've been a bit disappointed young Lyle Cameron's not had many a game time.
Aye, and Brahmy's dropped out the picture again as well. Another boy that showed glimpses. Aye, that midfield's that midfield does need looked at, Robert.
It does, mate. It does. And obviously Baramy's not on the European squad, so he's not even in contention for Thursday night. So that kind of gives Lyle Cameron the way in. If Asgard's out, obviously we don't know the fitness status or injuries until probably tomorrow. We'll get more kind of updates on it. I'd imagine the questions will all be about the weekend and actually not focusing on Thursday night right enough. But for me, Lyle Cameron deserves more game time. As I said earlier in the show, he brings energy, he drives, and for the build he's got is a midfielder. He doesn't have to put himself about. Same with Connor Barron. I'd bring him in for Diomande as well. Raskin you'd probably need to play simply because there's nobody else, if I'm being honest.
Yep.
Because if you drop Raskin and you keep Barron in, then it'd have to be Diomande, and he's not kicked a ball all season. So you're very limited to what you actually do. I mean, we actually had a point in that game, GB, where we had Tavernier and Mikey Moore playing centre mid. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't a great idea by the manager, but it just shows you how how thin we were in that midfield, that we were having a right back whose legs are gone, and Mikey Moore playing centre mid, who was more effective central than he was being out wide. I'd certainly have him starting up next to Danilo, because Jamaica's not got it, Miorski's not shown enough. And the other change I would make would be at the back. I'd have Giga out. And then, again, you're short in a way, because do you bring Fernandez in to that game, that magnitude, that pressure? Or do you move Tavernier to right centre-back and put Aarons as a more defensive wing-back? That's the only two options you've got at the back.
I like that kind of setup.
If you keep the five.
John, mate, the manager has liked his five. I would quite like to see that. I would like to see Aaron slip into the right wing back, Tav into the kind of the defence right side, John Suter, and then probably Cornelius, because he's a mere steady Eddie on that left, and then you have the Magoma being the left wing back. I'd quite like to see that kind of set up. Maybe not so much against Roma, but maybe in the next league game, mate. John, your thoughts, mate?
I've definitely Big Giga maybe needs a wee bit of time out to build his confidence back up. I know he seems to have a mistake in him at the start of games, and then maybe his second half will be a bit better and a bit more assured, and he'll grow into the game. But usually by that time it's too late, and he's made a couple of blunders, which brings the whole confidence of the team down. You've seen it in the first 10 minutes of the Celtic game. He was all over the place. So his position's a problem position, I would say.
Jim, Big Giga, the game against Hibs, see that tackle he runs back and does? It's a fantastic tackle, mate. And then
I thought that could be the making him.
Aye,
sorry,
John, you're right. No, mate, you're fine. But Jim, he's done tackles like that. He had a good wee start to his term at Rangers. Oh, sorry, Jim, I'll cut across you. I think we've been joined with a new caller. I think it's been David. David, how you doing, mate?
Hi.
How we getting on, bud? What's your thought?
I'm okay.
Hi, David.
Hi, David.
There's a couple of things you were talking about. I heard you on about Asgard, the sending off. I was never a sending off. Never in 100 years. He got the ball. He flicked it out of the boy's head, and he went for the ball, and he got the ball first. Then the big boy ran into him. It was never a sending off. That's my opinion, right? And you're on about what can we do about the referees? I've said for years, the thing we should have is a top-class referee and a KC, and every one of your games, they should go over it. The referee should point it out and get a KC to put it in print and fire it off to the referee committee or whoever it is, and keep doing that. And they should also take into account, go through the Celtic games and highlight what they're getting away with and put that down in print and fire it off and keep firing it off. If they don't get any satisfaction there, go above them. Go to UEFA. Because you're being treated differently. Right? And we're on about boycotting games. Now, I raised this about 5 years ago, just after the COVID time. Because I used to have 3 tickets. Season tickets. Now, I had a season ticket for about 30 years. And I couldn't stomach it when they got awarded the league. They'd have probably won the league, by all accounts, but they didn't win it. And I chucked it because I couldn't stomach it, because the club, they didn't do anything. We only get what we would deserve, because you'll never do anything about it. And I said at the time, coming through the leagues, we should have put a boycott on it. Just for a season going to the away games and starving the Blue Pound. And Ox and these guys, they dismissed it altogether. And you'll have to try and do something, because it's not going to get any better. Because it's just like the bully. If you're standing there, he'll just come along and slap you. until such times as you do something about it. You maybe end up with a bloody nose, but you've got to stand up to him at some point. Because
I not.
with the Rangers Football Club, the management is absolutely crap. And I thought with America, the Yanks coming in, I thought they might have seen something different. But it's just falling into the same routine. And me personally, for this new manager, I think he's just a yes man, because I think it's Billy that summed it up. It's like the okey-cokey. He's in, out. And that's when, what do you call him, the Aussie guy didn't take the job.
Muscat?
Muscat. We're struggling for a manager, and anything will do. So they've got this guy. Now, me personally, I don't think he's strong enough. I hope I'm proved wrong. I hope, as I said, I would hope with Dana Bridgman won every game, 1-0 out at the end of the season to prove me wrong. I can't see it. I think he's a yes man.
Let me take that point, David. Let me take that point around the boys that's in the call there now, mate. We've got Jim, we've John and Robert. They're all listening as well to your points, mate. So let me take that one, because you made a couple of good points there, mate. So I just want to get their opinions on it as well. So I'll go to yourself, Robert, first, mate. Robert, David's making the point again about the manager. He's kind of concerned about him being a yes man. I think we're all concerned of that. Because we've even heard Gerrard's interview when he was at the Liverpool game about how it wasn't the right timing and he didn't feel as though the structure was correct and stuff like that. I hope Danny Rule, with the experiences he's got behind him, that he's going to have a bit of a backbone and make it clear to Farewell that if he's wanting better out of his squad, then he's going to have to invest properly. Robert?
Of course it does, mate. But listen, great call, David. Always good to have new callers, mate. So made some good points there, pal. Listen, it's the structure that comes down to again, GB, because we've hired a head coach, not a manager. Now, we've had directors of football for numbers of seasons now. You go back to Mark Allen, Ross Wilson, Nils Cotton. Every person being appointed in the dugout has been a manager. The last manager we appointed without a director of football, we gave an absolute kitty to. That was Michael Beale, and that didn't end well. So the problem lies with the structure of having a head coach and a director of football. If Danny Rule's a manager, he gets the final say, which Farewell doesn't want to happen, because then his job's just pointless at that time, because he's not being the one making these decisions. So to an extent, it shouldn't be a yes man. It has to have some say, but because of the structure, it's not his final say, and that's where the problem will lie, because he simply has to work with what he's given. You can have a say of this player's not doing well, but as I said there on the show, doesn't matter the transfer fee, doesn't matter what the name is. See if they're not doing the job on the park, never mind training, on the park, as a coach or a head coach, a manager, don't pick them. Make a statement that way to your director to say, you brought him in, but he's not good enough for me. He's on the bench or not in the matchday squad. That's as much as I think Danny Rule can do in terms of having a say in every decision that's made above him, because of that structure.
Yep. John, mate, one of the things that Gio failed for, we thought with all his contacts that he would be raiding the Dutch market. I'd really do hope that Danny Rule, with his contacts with Germany, with Hans Flick at Barcelona and all the rest of it, I'm not saying we're going to get Barcelona players, but I think Kevin Farewell would be very silly not to tap into Danny Rule's contacts, mate, to try and scout some decent talent to our club. John?
Well, but that happened to be Gio, when we all thought we'd get a load of Dutch youth players. That never materialised either. So, but I think Danny Rule's he's quite ambitious. I think he sees himself being back in the Bundesliga at one point, or even further down the line, the German national manager. So he'll be wanting to succeed. He'll be doing everything he can to win games. It's just that the squad of players he's got just now just aren't good enough, basically. But if he gets the time in the transfer windows and he gets to pick his players, and then when we see who we're linked with in this transfer window, you'll know if he's got any influence or not pretty much straight away. Because as long as there are no championship players, then you'll see. But regard to boycotting games, I don't think works. Rangers fans are too dyed in the wool and want to go to games. I think they tried it at Tannadice at one point, but there was still thousands went. So I don't know if boycotting games works. And plus the fact that some of the allocations you get now in away grounds is crazy small, so that you probably hardly notice if there was a few boycotting it.
You're not doing that.
Yeah.
Fire away, mate. Fire away.
Hey, see, with boycotting the games, all we have to say is we're not taking tickets for away games. If the fans want to go there, that means that the team playing, when Rangers are away, they've got to look after the supporters rather than us. We're taking that away. It's not actually stopping them from going, but it makes it more difficult for them to go.
Yep, I agree, mate. I'll take it to Jim. Jim.
Was there no Jim that says? Sorry, was there no Jim that says either put up or shut up?
No.
Someone
John's in as well,
said that
mate.
earlier, I know someone says that earlier,
I think.
Sorry.
David. I'll take it to Jim. Jim, I think the hard thing about the boycotting is, and Ox says it all the time, it's harder than a rock place. If we're doing it for a position of strength, and when we're winning titles and stuff like that, then it's easier to do, and you're not hurting the club. But when you're doing it now, when we're struggling and the team's really needing some confidence, it's a double-edged sword, really, isn't it, Jim?
Aye, it certainly is. I think it was me that said put up or shut up earlier on there. Because I think it's really down to the fans said today what's going to happen here now.
Yeah, but something's got to happen somewhere. Because, as I keep saying, you can't just keep going along like this. And the Rangers Radio, you see it on the people writing in and texting in and so forth. But that many people really pissed off at it, pardon my French. And they're getting sick of it altogether because the Rangers Football Club are not doing anything. All they're doing is taking the blue pound off the supporters. They're not putting anything back. The management's terrible. And if you were starving them, even the Rangers Football Club, the blue pound, they would sit up and take notice in.
David, I think
you're going to notice that because...
Sorry?
On you go, Jim. On you go, sorry, mate.
You're saying there about starving the club. I think these American owners are going to know about it shortly because if things continue to go on the way they're going on, then I think you'll see a dip in the purchase of season tickets next season.
Ticket sales.
Also, ticket sales, but you've also seen the Higby sales this year in the Europa League. Because I'll be interested to see how many's going to be there this Thursday. Because there's been 4,000 or 5,000 tickets sales been missing at every one of these games. Recently, these Europa League games. I mean, that's a lot of money. It's going to. This is also going to hamper how much gets spent in this January window.
James, you're on about the Europa League. They got a wee influx where the manager came in. The first game it was horrendous because he was just in the door. Then we played Hibs and we got a wee lift with that. We thought we were turning the corner, but it's back down again, isn't it? So
no, sorry.
They'd probably got. Sorry.
On you go. Sorry, on you go.
They'd have probably got the tickets sold for the Roma game just now. That'll be the game after that. And the games after that, we'll see how many sales they get, because I think they're for a wee boost by the manager himself. A lot of people are taking to him and thinking he's saying and doing the right things. But it'll be the games after that. We'll see how many season tickets, how many European tickets they sell then.
Yep.
I was actually talking about the previous round, the previous games, where the ticket sales were terrible, where they were down drastically on the last couple of seasons. That's what I'm talking about. They've already noticed there's been a dip.
Yeah.
And the fans, like you says, David, when they forced the owners' hands to sack a manager as well, because I think they were quite happy just sitting back as long as everybody was still turning up. But as soon as it started turning, that's when they had to make the call. And when you started having fans turning up at the European games where Kevin Farrell was and Patrick Stewart were staying in the hotels and they're getting it tight, then I think that says they were woken up to it, mate. So I think your philosophy is definitely got something behind it, mate. And I don't think says the fans will be fearful of no using it if we really need to, mate. But boys, we are getting to that time of night. David, mate, first time caller, some great points,
I've
mate.
called before. It's been a wee while since I called. But there's another point, a quick point just before I go.
Yep, please, mate.
You're on about getting the dressing room lifted a wee touch and so forth. And we know it's never been the same since Jimmy Bale left, or he died, sorry. And what I was thinking was the ideal man for that would be Bomber Brown. What's your opinion on that? Doing the kit man, Bomber Brown.
I don't know if he would accept being the kit man then, mate, after his status, but I do think I was at the Dundee United game and I was lucky to be in the kind of hospitality side of things, and I was talking to Ian Durant, and I think the guys would be more useful being doing round about the squad. I would much rather see them doing their some of the stuff they were saying to us was fantastic, and I was like, why are these guys not getting an opportunity just to be in the dressing room with the boys on match days? I think it would help. I mean, but I make great points, and like I says, we need to wind it up, bud. Please, like I says, phone in again, mate, because you've. And don't make it as long, because you're actually, like I said, made some cracking points tonight, mate. So please, like I says, we're on the rest of the week. If you've got more stuff to say, give us a phone tomorrow night, bud, and we'll get some more points off you.
I tried to get into the back of 9,
Right.
But
well,
anyway,
that's we start at 8 o'clock, so by all means, just phone in, mate. Phone in. We want you in. We want your points, mate. All right. Thanks very much, David.
Okay, then. Right. Cheers, mate.
Catch you soon. John, mate.
Bye for now. Bye. Bye,
John,
guys.
mate,
Thank
again.
you for taking my points.
Cheers, David. John, mate, again to yourself, mate. Fantastic call, and please, mate, the phone in. We're on the rest of the week, and you're more than welcome, mate, if you want to keep bringing in these fantastic points to us.
Great, thanks for having me.
Final thoughts off you, mate?
John.
Final thoughts are we need a win. Let's hope we get a win, and that'll build a bit of confidence back into us, and get another win before the international break, and then we can take it from there and start clawing back some of the points in the league. But a win on Thursday will go a long way to just getting the confidence up. That's what I'm looking forward to. Every game starts in each.
That's it, mate. That's it. And it's onwards and upwards, mate. And I hope to hear from you soon, bud. All right? You take care.
Right, thanks. Good night.
Take care, mate. Over to you, Jim, mate. Final thoughts, bud?
Great show again tonight. Good hearing a few different callers phoning in. Well done yourself for taking the lead tonight. As I'm saying, let's see what Thursday brings.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you. Thank you for your efforts tonight, mate. I know it's been a bit of a hassle to come in tonight, mate. Robert, mate, your final thoughts as well, bud.
I just echo what Jim says, mate. Great show tonight, great debate. A lot covered tonight. Always a pleasure to be on with yourself and, of course, Jim. Always good to get callers as well. That's what a show's all about, mate. It's about the callers coming in and giving their opinions. Onwards and upwards, as they'll say out there, to Thursday night, mate. Need to see a reaction from the squad. Hopefully take the performance and the mentality of the second half, particularly from Sunday, into Thursday. European game at Ibrox under the lights. Sure, the fans will be loud and proud as always, and hopefully get a result, mate. Cheers for having me. Great show again.
Cheers, bud. Can I just do the thank yous? A big thank you to our legend Carl for phoning in the night and getting us kicked off with the points. It was great to hear from you, buddy. I hope to hear from you soon as well. Big thanks to John for phoning in with his points, again helping the show, and a big thanks to David for phoning back in after a wee period away from us. So, boys, you are more than welcome. Please phone in during the week if you are about. Big thanks to my two wingmen tonight, Jim and Robert. And a big thanks to the techie boys, as always, in the background there, giving us our tunes and looking after these in the socials. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back tomorrow night talking about all things Glasgow Rangers. Good night.